Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories read here today can be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. Here is the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Yesterday, in our first preliminary report on the H1N1 swine flu update, our NFIC reporter Terry Hansen indicated that no reports of the flu or suspected cases of the flu had turned up in Indian country, according to the Indian Health Service officials she had talked to. That is where the story appears to stand as of this reading today, even though Indian Health Service officials are doing preparation in case. But I did want to raise a few statistics to date for your information. According to National Public Radio this morning, as of today, there have been 500 cases of the flu reported and confirmed worldwide. There's a lot more cases that are suspected, but those are the ones that have been confirmed in about a dozen countries, and about 14 states reporting alleged cases in the United States. Not all suspected flu cases turn out to be H1N1 swine flu. There have been 15 confirmed deaths in Mexico that were confirmed as swine flu virus infections, and one in the United States to date. In 1976, after one death caused by a similar swine flu virus, NPR reports that over 40 million Americans were given a vaccination, with more than a dozen deaths and several permanent paralyzations occurring from the vaccination rather than the flu virus itself. Worldwide, each year approximately 34,000 people die from various flu viruses. And the flu virus season is just about at its end, as summertime weather is destructive to the various viruses. So precaution is the name of the game. Wash your hands, don't sneeze on other people, and if you're sick, please stay home. The New York Times reports that surgical masks have now sold out in most major outlets across the country. No doubt thick rubber gloves will be next. Conditions at a migrant housing encampment on tribal land are so poor that only solution is to close it, even though several thousand residents would be displaced. A federal prosecutor said April 30th during closing arguments in a trial to determine the park's fate. Assistant U.S. Attorney Leon Weidman said Harvey Duro, the park's owner and a member of the Torres Martinez Desert Cahula Indians, has had 10 years to improve the dangerous conditions at Desert Mobile Home Park, but hasn't done so. The prosecutor listed a number of concerns, including leaking propane tanks, sewage that sometimes backs up into residents' trailers, standing wastewater in the streets, and 800 feral dogs who roam wild in the trailer park. Weidman told the judge it would cost $4.3 million to bring the encampment up to code, an expense that could never be met from rental income or by Duro. Because the park is on Indian land, it is not subject to local and state health and safety codes. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has asked an appeals board to allow the agency to reconsider an air permit issued last year for a coal-fired power plant on the Navajo Nation in northwest New Mexico. Regional EPA officials want to reconsider the parts of the permit for the $3 billion Desert Rock Energy project that were appealed by the state of New Mexico and environmentalists who were concerned about air quality, carbon dioxide emissions, and violations of the Endangered Species Act. The tribe's Dene Power Authority and Houston-based Sith Global LLC have partnered to build the 1,500 megawatt power plant on the Navajo Reservation south of Farmington. They have said Desert Rock would be one of the cleanest coal-burning plants in the nation, and it would generate more than $50 million in annual revenues and create jobs on a reservation where more than half of the people are unemployed. Navajo President Joe Shirley Jr. said he was disappointed to learn of the EPA move only after the motion was filed. Cedric Black Eagle promised to unite the Crow Nation and lead his people into the future of hope as he was sworn as tribal chairman this last week. The former vice chairman was elected to his new post on April 18th. Black Eagle said that the tribe would work toward the passage of the Crow Water Claims Settlement Act and the Crow Land Restoration Act, both now in Congress. He also noted that the tribe is blessed with natural resources that should be responsibly developed and spoke of preserving the Crow language and heritage. Lieutenant Governor John Bollinger was among about 100 riders on horseback who took part in a parade before the swearing-in ceremony. Tribal communities across New Mexico will share in nearly $56 million for school improvements, road maintenance, and workforce training. Senator Jeff Bingaman, a New Mexico Democrat, says the needs in Indian Country were great even before the economic downturn, so the delegation paid close attention to the state's tribes and pueblos as Congress developed the recovery bill. Zuni Pueblo will get more than $1.4 million for housing projects, while more than $6 million will go toward improvements at the Ninahanazad boarding school. The Southwestern Indian Polytechnic Institute in Albuquerque will get more than $1.8 million for replacing hot water lines and preparing for installation of solar panels. U.S. Senator Ben Nelson has announced the Department of Interior will provide more than $800,000 to Nebraska to support construction and maintenance projects on tribal lands as part of the economic stimulus package. The Nebraska Democrats said that almost $750,000 will go toward the maintenance and repair of federal roads and bridges throughout tribal lands in the state. Another $60,000 will be used to repair federal facilities on tribal lands like employee housing, detention centers, and tribal support facilities. Michigan has dropped the gray wolf from its endangered species list, but it's uncertain what practical effect the move will have because of a continued legal squabble over federal wolf policy. The decision by the Department of Natural Resources, another milestone in the recovery of the wolf from near extinction in the upper Great Lakes region. The wolf's population in Michigan has risen steadily since the comeback began in the Upper Peninsula in the late 1980s. Although results of this year's census are still being tabulated, DNR Wolf Program Coordinator Brian Roel said the population was approaching nearly 600, up from last year's total of 520 wolves. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service announced in March it was removing wolves in Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin from the federal endangered list. The change is scheduled to take effect May 4th. At that point, regulatory authority would shift to state and tribal agencies. The Northern Arapaho Tribe of Wyoming reports that its casino operations and associated businesses are now the largest employer in Fremont County. The tribe issued a release saying the casino operations now employ 560 workers and they plan to add more. The relocated and expanded Little Wind Casino marked its grand opening on April 4th, bringing its employment there to 60 workers. That put total casino employment ahead of the Riverton School District, which employs 520 workers. The twin girls who were born joined at the chest have been released from the hospital. Children's Hospital spokesman Alan Poston says Kaylee and Presley Wells were released this week and taken to the Children's Center in Bethany for rehabilitation. Poston says the goal for the girls is to catch up on their development in areas of physical movement such as rolling over. The girls were born October 25th and are believed to be the first known American Indian conjoined twins. They were separated January 19th during a 6-hour surgery. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank our underwriters for helping us with this broadcast and you for joining with us. Stop by again soon. Miigwech.